In this video, I want to give you a couple of tips on how you can use Angi Leads effectively. I'm not a big fan of using Angi Leads. There, I said it. But still, I believe that Angi Leads can be effectively used by businesses in order to get those additional leads, or by new businesses in order to start getting some jobs, build a reputation, and then get more referrals and all that stuff. In general, I'm not a big fan of using Angi Leads because when you're paying Angi Leads, you're paying them to build their business. You're basically paying Angi Leads to act as a middleman between you and customers. If there weren't sites like Angi Leads, Home Advisor, and similar websites, you can argue that it would be more difficult for new contractors to get leads, but at the same time, I believe that it will be a lot easier for remodelers, contractors, construction companies, and all service providers to get a lot more customers by themselves, because you wouldn't have to beat these websites. Right now, when you're building your own website, when you're trying to rank on Google and all of that, you have to beat these companies as well, which of course presents a problem. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that subject. I want to give you guys a few tips on how you can use Angi Leads effectively. And if you can use Angi Leads effectively, then keep using it. Why not? If you can get some awesome leads, make it profitable for your own company, definitely use Angi Leads. Don't become too dependent on them, because tomorrow something can change and all of that, and your company will suffer. And I also gotta say that you might actually be using these tips already, but you still might get some bad leads, or you might not be able to close these leads and all that. In that case, then, I don't know, you should move away from using the Angi Leads, and you should focus on different marketing methods that work better for your company. So let me get into a few of these tips on how you can actually use Angi Leads a lot more effectively to close more jobs and, of course, get more customers. The first tip is to call leads immediately. As soon as you get a new lead, don't wait, don't hesitate, call that lead immediately, because if you don't, somebody else will. Now think about it from customer's perspective. You're not the only guy that actually gets those leads, as you probably already know. So before your competitors call that lead, you gotta make sure that you are the first one that they speak to. If you're the first contractor that the lead speaks to, you have the highest chance of leaving a positive impression. Think about it from customer's perspective. Imagine you fill out this form, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of people calling you. I mean, you might provide a lot more information to the first guy that calls you, but the third guy, fifth guy, you just want to hang off the phone. Like, you're not ready to buy by that point. Of course, it also depends on what kind of industry you're in, because it will be a lot easier to close a pressure washing lead than it would be to close a bathroom remodeling job, of course. If you call the lead immediately, then of course you have the highest chance of closing that lead, as long as you're good on the phone. And that's pretty much the second tip that I can give you. And it's not even a tip, like, it's just a skill that you need to develop as a business owner. You need to be really good on the phone. No matter what you do, or even if Angi throws some best leads at you, but you are horrible at phone, then of course you're not going to be able to close any of them. So that should have probably been the first tip, or maybe that should have been a requirement before we even got to discuss all these tips. And the third tip that I can give you is to follow up. Follow up after a few hours. Follow up after a few days. Follow up after a few weeks. Until that lead is completely closed, or until they tell you to stop calling them, or they will sue you or something. Keep calling them. I mean, the worst thing that they can say is no. A lot of times, people will not be ready to speak to somebody in a moment. And think about it, as soon as somebody fills out that contact form, their information is sent to a bunch of people, and they might not be ready to speak to them at that moment. Imagine like 5 contractors call them immediately, and that person is not ready to speak to anybody. So of course, nobody's going to be able to close that lead immediately, but by following up, and by keeping in touch with them, especially if you actually spoke to them first, then of course you have a much higher chance of closing that lead. And that's another problem with Angi Leads as well, is that a lot of people are still in the research phase, and they might fill out the contact form to see a bunch of contractors. But their information is being sent to a bunch of different contractors, and all of a sudden their phone is blowing up, and they don't want to speak to anybody in a moment. But these guys might be willing to speak to somebody in a few weeks and all of that. And they will call you later on. So you don't have to worry too much about that. But try to do whatever is in your possibility to close that lead. Call the lead immediately. Follow up relentlessly until they tell you to piss off. And, try to be good on the phone. But, and this is really important, even if you can use Angi Leads effectively, even if you can close jobs from Angi Leads, don't depend on them. I know a lot of contractors that are using Angi Leads effectively, but they don't put all of their eggs into one basket, because tomorrow something can happen with the economy and your business will suffer unless you have multiple lead sources. People can just stop using Angi Leads tomorrow. And what are you going to do? It will take you so much time to start from scratch, building your new website, optimizing your website for SEO, waiting to get ranked on Google to start getting some leads from there. At that point, it will be pretty much like starting a completely new business. So even if you can use Angi Leads effectively and make it profitable for your own company, set aside a small portion of your budget for marketing so that you can build these other lead sources and so that you can pretty much be bulletproof in case of a recession or if the economy crashes or whatever happens. So those are pretty much some of the tips that I can give you. Never be dependent on one lead source, no matter what they may be. In my opinion, focusing on your website and focusing on building up your Google business listing and ranking your Google business listing high on Google Maps and all of that is the best thing that you can do for your company, because when people search for remodelers in your area, these guys already know what they want. They look through a bunch of different companies through Google. They found a company that they like, which is probably you if they contacted you. And they contacted you because they want to work with you. So these leads are a lot easier to close than any of these other leads that even leads through Facebook. Like when you're trying to post stuff on Facebook, a lot of these people that see your post, they might be interested. You're basically trying to get them interested in your services. But these people might not be ready to buy. They might be in a research phase, or they might consider working with you a year from now, whatever. But when they go to Google and they type in the service that they need and they look through all these different companies and they chose your company and they contacted your company, it's because you're the guy that they want to work with. So in this case, you have the leverage. But anyway, those are some of the best tips that I can give you when it comes to using Angi Leads, and I really hope that you can make it profitable for your own company. I don't think it's a horrible service. I think it's a decent service that can actually help a lot of new contractors as well. But I just don't like their acting as a middleman. But, then again, you can make a case that if there wasn't Angi Leads, then it would be more difficult for some contractors to get more jobs, which is true. So I don't want to hate on Angi Leads. I think that they're providing a service which a lot of people are finding valuable as well. If you can use Angi Leads effectively, then please do so. Make it profitable for your own company. Make a lot of money if you can. And these are pretty much some of the tips that I can give you that I've noticed that work really well for contractors that are using Angi Leads effectively. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, definitely leave a comment. If you want me to take a look at your company, then go to logicalmarketer.net. I'll leave the link in the description. Fill out the contact form, send me your website, send me your information about your company, and I'll give you some advice on what you can do to get more jobs independently of any platform. So thank you for watching this video, and have a great day. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let's go. That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. Have a good one.